Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about 5 things that make leaders unhappy, how to spot them, and what to do about them. So you're definitely going to want to stick around today to go over this training and make sure that you follow me on YouTube, Coach Tina B 125. And make sure that you subscribe because I will be uploading the replay there, and there's a lot of golden nuggets in this training. Now today we're going to be focusing more on business examples so that you guys can have this, but this also actually applies to your personal life as well. So if you're experiencing any of these challenges, if you see signs of these things, then take the strategies that I'm going to give you and implement them, and even if it's in your personal life. But I will be giving a lot of business examples today. Okay? So welcome to those that are joining on TikTok. Thank you. Tap the screen, share the live for people that you think might be interested in this topic. We definitely want to have a lot of engagement here. So first thing is when you're in a work environment and you start seeing things like your team is, the topic is 5 things that make leaders unhappy, what to do about it, and how to fix that. Okay, so when you see your team and you've asked them, have they done something? And they end up giving you that deer in the headlights kind of look. And they're like blank stares. They're like, oh, I didn't know that I was supposed to do that. Or so you end up, getting frustrated, and you have to stay calm, and this starts wearing on you after a while. It's like, especially if you see this multiple times. So what the problem is we have a lack of awareness. They're not aware that they were supposed to do something. So an example, when way back in the day when I was started at a new company, I'd been there maybe 2 weeks. Well, they had brought in this hired gun, and he was there to fix a lot of the problems. And so he ended up at my desk, and he was really upset, and he was like slamming his fist down. He's like getting all mad and everything about like, why aren't these processes being followed, blah, 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 blah. So he was definitely unhappy. And he's like, I don't know how many times I've told you guys to do this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, he lacked the awareness that I had only been there for 2 weeks. He assumed that I had been there for a long time. So you have to be careful with assumptions, because assumptions will get you into trouble, make an ass out of you and me. So he made the assumption. He's like, how many times do I have to tell you? And I'm like, once at least. So making sure that the people are aware. So if you start seeing this problem where people are acting dumb, or they're playing dumb, or they just don't seem to be aware of what the processes are, you're going to look to communication. You're going to look at what was communicated, how was it communicated, when was it communicated, and why was this important when it was communicated. So making sure that the what is very clear, that they had clear direction, how it was communicated. Was it written? Was it verbal? Was it in a meeting? Was it only done once? So when was it communicated? Was it communicated last month and nobody's talked about it since, and everybody forgot about it and didn't realize it was happening this week? So the frequency of your communication matters as well. So keeping in mind that you have to stay up to date on those things, and making sure that when it's time to implement, that you have increased communication in various formats, not just the one format, because people may miss the email, they may not get the call, they may not check their voicemail, whatever it is. You have to, if it's important and you really need this stuff followed through on, make sure that the communication is solid by checking out what, how, when, and why, those 4 things. Okay? The next thing that will make leaders unhappy is when you're experiencing and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, these guys, they're so lazy. They're just not motivated to get things done. And I always have to stay on them. And I feel like the minute I turn my eye, they're, things are falling through the cracks. So if you're experiencing that challenge, what you have is a lack of desire. And so lack of desire can be a couple of different things. It isn't always just that they are not motivated. Sometimes what it is they have competing motivations. So they have competing alternative priorities that are coming up and making something else that seemed more urgent maybe got done instead of the thing that really needed to get done. So oftentimes your team will get distracted by little minor emergencies or things that they think are important and not put the first things first, what the true priorities are. And so a lot of times that comes back to what was communicated when you were instructing them to do certain things. So the other thing is also if it wasn't communicated properly as to why this task was important or why this project is important, they may be dragging their feet, or they may be thinking something else is more important than this thing. And so it's very important as leaders to communicate to your team what the true priorities are. And you can't say everything's a priority because you will set yourself up for some great unhappiness, because then what you're doing, instead of you truly directing, truly leading, you're leaving it up to your team to decide what the priorities are. And so you could be setting yourself up for some resentment because you haven't clearly communicated, I need this done no matter what. I also need this other thing, but if you had to choose between the two, this has to get done. So making that very clear, understanding why it's important for it to get done and what it is that your expectations are. So that they're clear on if there's competing priorities or competing things that happen. They also have some sort of chain of command, some sort of communication process that they can come back to you and say, hey, you know what? I know you asked me to do this, but the VP just came by my desk and said that he needed this done. Now what do I do, right? So making sure that those kind of things are communicated properly, especially if you're working on a major project and you're doing some system implementations or major changes that are happening in the work environment. You want to make sure that these things are covered in great detail. Also, in order to help increase the desire, you have to communicate what's in it for them. What is the benefit of them doing this work? What is the benefit that they can see for the company and their role in that position? And why, if they don't do the things that you need them to do, how that's going to affect the rest of the project. So making sure that that's clearly communicated and what's in it for them as to why they're doing it, what would motivate them, what would make them desire to do this. And I know if you're frustrated, you might be like, they get to keep their job. No, that's not the right way to do it. I know you can be frustrated, but if you implement some of these things that I'm talking about, you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration and you're going to be a much happier leader, which means your team is going to be much happier. So let's move on to the third thing. The third thing is if you're seeing lots of errors and mistakes and things are getting missed or falling through the cracks, that you're not getting the results that you're expecting, this could be a lack of knowledge. So we know that they're aware of what was needed to be done. They have the desire, they know why it's important, and it's been communicated with them, they understand the process, but maybe they lack a piece of knowledge that is preventing them from moving forward or catching certain mistakes. And this often happens with leaders is we forget how much we actually know and we forget to communicate that. So oftentimes we can end up setting ourselves up for unhappiness by expecting other people to just know or assume that they know as much as we do. And there might be a piece of information. I know I've done this many times where I forget that they didn't know a certain piece. They don't have that same knowledge base that I did, because if they did, they'd probably be in a leadership role as well. So keep that in mind, that they don't know everything that you know, and it is on you to make sure that you're conveying that in a way that they can understand, and making sure that they have the knowledge, they have the tools, the ability to work those tools properly so that they can get the job done, and making sure that that is clear. Okay? So when you see that issue coming up where you're seeing lots of errors, you're seeing lots of mistakes, and things are falling through the cracks, things are getting missed, you know that they know the process, you know that you've communicated everything, but you still see this stuff happening. So it usually there's a lack of a clear, defined system and process, and making sure that they have been properly trained on all the pieces of that and where the information is coming from. And sometimes they might know the what they're supposed to do, but they may not understand why they're supposed to do it, why it's important, and what to do if things go wrong, right? So sometimes I don't know, I was told to do this, so this is what I do. But if they don't have the background of why this is important and where the possible fallouts are, that could be where the knowledge gap is, and then how to fix those things. So making sure that you have some sort of training, you have some sort of process in place for them to identify where those gaps are and how to fill them, and where to go to for help if they need it. So making sure that that is clear will make you and them much happier. All right, I'm going to take a breath here. 2 more things. So the 4th thing is, if you start seeing signs of delayed progress, not hitting the numbers, you know things, you've had training, you've had communication, you have made it clear as to why this is important for them to do, then you're going to address the abilities. So this may mean the person, maybe they had the training, but maybe they just don't have that personality style. Maybe they don't have they're not picking things up quickly. They're not able to do the task as fast as some other people. You may have to look at, is the right person in the right role? And this doesn't mean get rid of everybody. This means, okay, either, you don't want to put somebody, say, who is timid and a little bit more quiet in a role that requires strong negotiation skills, or strong boundaries, where it's like, no, we're not doing that, we're doing this, and this is why, kind of thing. You want somebody that's fairly strong. Now, you also may want to develop that person. So if that's the case, they may need somebody to mirror or shadow them, so that they have live examples and that they are able to sit with somebody and watch them be able to, so that they can pick up some of the skills through observation, through osmosis, from being immersed in the environment. It's kind of like when you put a child in French immersion school or something like that. They're going to pick up the language a whole lot faster when they're immersed in an environment where this is what they see all the time, day to day, and they have somebody to ask questions to get feedback from, to mentor them through that process. That will help them a lot. So you want to make sure that you're assessing the skill sets of the person. Are the skill sets where you thought they were? Or do they need more development? Do they need more support? Or is it that maybe they need help and some things need to be delegated off of their plate? So that can kind of tie back into that desire and awareness, if they had competing issues or projects on the go and they picked the wrong one. So making sure that they know how to prioritize the issues will help you feel so much happier. Okay? And then the fifth thing is when you start seeing you guys were going along well for a little while, the numbers were good, everything was good, you were hitting the targets, and then next thing you know, the wheels fall off, and you're like, why are we back here again? Why did the numbers go down? This is where reinforcement is important, okay? This is where communication is going to be key at being able to solve this. Frequency of communication. So a lot of times, so I'll give you an example in a work environment. I had to follow up with making sure that the carriers hit their KPIs on on-time performance. Yes, my background is transportation and logistics, but making sure that the carriers hit their on-time performance. And the carriers were so used to getting beat down when the numbers were bad, and then they'd never hear from us if the numbers were good. And I think a lot of leaders do this with their employees. If everything is good, they don't hear from them. The only time they hear from them is when things are bad, and that is a bad example to set, because what that sets up, it creates an environment of when the cat's away, the mice will play kind of thing. So the minute you take your eyes off of things, things start to slide. Why? Because they don't get any positive feedback when things are going well. So upping your positive feedback. So what I would do with those carriers, even once the numbers were good, I'd call them up and say, hey, this is the third week in a row you hit the numbers. I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much. You guys rock. You're awesome. I would give some sort of feedback. Sometimes I would send over like a little batch of cookies or something like that to say thank you to the team, so that when things are going well, you want to reward the positive behavior. You don't want to just be there to beat them with a stick when things are wrong, and that's the only time you focus on the KPIs. You want to give that positive feedback, even if the numbers are maybe not hitting target, but they're actually improving. Make sure that you acknowledge the improvements, even if inside you might be frustrated because you're like, damn, we're still not at where we should be. And it can be easy to focus on that, but you have to focus on the wins. You have to focus on giving that positive feedback and support along the way, so that they actually care about hitting the numbers. Because if the only time you're talking about the numbers is when they're doing bad, and that's when it's getting brought up, then they're going to resist, and it's going to lack that reinforcement. Also, so that's making sure that you have that communication on point, not only for when it's wrong, but when it's right. And in fact, doing more communication when it's right, of rewarding and why this is important, why this is good, is going to go a long way giving that feedback. And you might be like, yeah, but we have so many other fires. I'm telling you, do this and you won't have to come back and make sure it's reinforced so many times, or having to pick up the pieces again and again and again, right? And you're just like, why do we keep going through this cycle? So making sure that you're getting that positive feedback. So guys, that is the training for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you aren't following me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on YouTube, Coach Tina B 125. Make sure you hit subscribe for to be notified when I upload the replays. Also, this is more, so the topic that I cover today is more change management, okay? And this is something that I've worked on many projects, and I'm able to grab a lot of experience that I have and give a lot of references and give you a lot of information on how to do this. If you are struggling with any of these challenges in your business, and you're like, okay, Tina, I've done all the things that you suggested, but I'm still struggling and it's not going. We're not getting the results that we want. People are unhappy. We're fighting as a team, or we're just not getting the results. Whatever it is, if you need help with the change management piece, I have a 5-day workshop that'll help get your team on track. If that is something that you want more information about, please send me a message and I will give you that information. We can either do this virtual or we can do this as an in-person event. So that is something that I do offer as a change management piece, and I am ProSci certified as a change management practitioner. So guys, that is the training for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.